Okay, so where they can be double, right?
Well, I mean, that's given.
Right. Like in the past, that's we have been. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Your call.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Because you can voting whenever, like in the past, you vote. I mean, all the three of you vote for the like county administrator as well.
There have been
both
occasions when there was one person in the room who was representing himself plus two other people.
Right. Yeah, I'm fine with that. If we are challenged, then we'll deal with it later. I mean, I'm fine because the past, we've been. I mean, you vote when you say yes, something that is like for yourself as well as your like city managers and county administrator.
Show up in the attendance roster is here, but also proxy for your city managers or county administrators. So.
Right. Okay.
It's good enough for me.
10:31 already. Okay, so we got Tracy.
This conference will now be recorded.
Good. So let's go ahead and call the meeting. So just because and appreciate for those who are here in person, despite the weather condition, and then folks who are joining us online virtually. For the purpose of a quorum, Jane, can you tell us if we have a quorum or not?
Well, we would need 6 people in the room. And in fact, we have 4. However, 3 of those 4 are also proxies for their head of administration. So the county administrator, in the case of Jerry Stokes, Kevin for the mayor of Bloomington, sorry, not the mayor of Bloomington, the city manager, and Ryan for the city manager for the town of Normal. And we see that as a quorum present. Anyone who wants to object to that, do it now.
Yeah, and if there's objection or some legal challenges, then I'm fine. Oh, Betsy, will you say something?
I'm not sure if you can represent 2 people or 2 organizations. I've never seen that occur. Usually one person has 1 vote. However, this is a technical committee today, correct?
Right.
I mean, you can go through your agenda items, and it's really the policy committee body that you need to have a vote on this. So I think if worst case scenario, this is informational and concurrence, so that doesn't slow you down. Thanks.
Okay.
Betsy, I just wanted to clarify. You said representing 2 organizations?
You said 1 person would have 2 votes. Is that what I'm understanding?
Well, they're here on their own right as members of the technical committee, but they also represent as proxies other members of the technical committees who are either city managers or the county administrator.
In all the time I've ever been here, I've generally not heard of that. In having a person vote for more than having more than one vote. So I'm just saying, a worst case scenario is you could go through this, and it's really the policy committee that is your MPO governance board, and they will hopefully approve these later in the month.
Right.
Yep. One more note, just for the record. In the past, it hasn't come up since Derek's come on board, but Bob Nelson occasionally was here in his own right, but also as proxy for, it might have been Dan actually at the time, and vice versa. So this is not new. It's not just local, and we've done this through IDOT District 5 before, simply because, this city managers just never show up. So it's been that way sort of by tradition since as long as I can remember. I don't think it matters because, as you say, the real action is by the policy committee. So we'll just consider this a referral.
So we refer and so that they can just asking. So there cannot be a formal vote for a formal recommendation, and it's just like taking in no comments, or if there were comments, and then take it to the policy committee next week. Is that?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I mean, you could simply say we didn't have quorum. I mean, the easiest would be to say we didn't have quorum, but those in attendance agreed or whatever the
Okay.
outcome is.
Okay. Sure. Yeah. So we can go through the agenda today. We also have the option that in addition, just to if we need to be more formal, we can have the like a special technical committee meeting like before the policy next week, so that we have the formal recommendation. But I don't think that the end result is much different.
I'm fine moving forward as we are.
Yeah, and I'm totally fine either. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so we'll go ahead. We actually won't vote on the items, the actionable items, but then we'll just take comments, questions, discussions, and then we'll refer to the policy committee as such. Is that okay with everyone? All right. With that said, so we going into item number 3, which is the public comments. Jen, do we get any comments?
We have not.
Questions? Okay. All right. So moving on, item number 4, we cannot vote on this, so we'll just move on to item 5 through 14 at least for now, and we can go one at a time. And I'll have Derek or Dan to provide background for each, and I'll ask if there will be any comments, questions on each of them. And so we'll start with item number 5 is for the amendment number 21.
Yeah, this amendment is for the revision of D5 project tip number Y089 on US 150. The change is for the description being only phase 2 before it said phase 1 and phase 2. It's probably been an oversight for a little while, so I just figured it needed to be changed. It lists here that the cost change is from $325,000 to $350,000. That's actually not correct. There is no change in the funding cost. It's always been $350,000 to my knowledge. But the project location is US 150 from Oakland to Veterans Parkway at a total of $350,000.
Okay. All right. And so we'll make the revisions for the policy committee as well. Okay. Questions, comments from anyone? Okay. Item number 6 is for amendment 22. Please, Derek or Dan.
So amendment 22 is tip number Y089. The project location is US 150 from Oakland to Veterans Parkway. And this is just an additional item for $400,000 of preliminary engineering phase 2.
Okay. Questions, comments, anyone? All right. Hearing none, amendment number 23.
Okay, amendment 23 is tip number BDS-2025 at various locations. This is a bridge deck ceiling project, 12 of which are in the MPA area at a total of $60,000 using state-only funds. The money shown is just the projects that are in the MPO area. There are other structures on the project, but these are just the ones in the MPO area.
Got it. Okay. Questions, comments, anybody? Next one is amendment number 24.
Amendment 24 is tip number H588. The location is I-55 at Towanda Avenue overhead, 1.7 miles east of US 51. And this is a new funding item for $750,000 in state-only money for preliminary engineering phase 1 and phase 2.
Questions, comments? Moving on to amendments number 25 is on the agenda item number 9.
Amendment 25 is tip number H674, H675, H6, which is I-74 under County Highway 29, County Highway 30, and County Highway 36 east of US 51. This is a new funding item for preliminary engineering phase 1 and phase 2.
Okay. Questions, comments?
Hey, Derek, what is the project that's actually going on here?
I believe I'll have to get back to you on that. I saw it in the, I don't know if I can get to my files. I'm at a different desk today for this meeting. But I don't see it later on in the agenda. I'll have to get back to you on that. I believe it's some sort of bridge work. And I think it's later on in the FY like 28 or 29. But
Okay, so maybe Terry, if you don't mind, sometime before next Friday or early part of next week, send Janet or me an email, and then we'll share with the committee.
sounds good.
Okay,
Yeah, I can
great.
do that as soon as I get off the meeting.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, can you also check that this is County Highway 36 east of US 51? I'm not sure if it should be US 150 or because I don't think 74 goes that close to County Highway 36 there by 51. So might want to double check that location.
Yeah, we'll do.
But these structures definitely need something done, so that's good.
Okay, so yeah, that'll be great. Yeah, when you get a chance to double check and send us the background, because we will be sending the policy committee agenda out no later than Wednesday. So we'll have the most updated versions on all these items and revisions as needed. Any more questions, comments from anyone for item number 25? All right, moving on to amendment 26, please, Derek.
Amendment 26 is tip number H683, H684 on I-55 under County Highway 29, a half a mile north of Towanda, and at Money Creek, 1.5 miles northeast of Towanda. It's a bridge deck overlay project, and the change was an updated cost to a total project cost of $5.5 million.
Questions, comments? Okay, hearing none. Amendment 27 for agenda item number 11.
Amendment 27 is tip number Y089-2. It's at US 150 from Empire to Oakland Avenue and Clinton Street to Hannah Street in Bloomington. Basically, this was just a funding type change. It's now a state-only item.
So I wonder if the item should be like for the policy agenda, specify the location
Yeah.
in reference to?
Yeah.
Okay. Questions, comments on this one? Moving on to amendment number 28, please, Eric.
Amendment 28 is tip number A161. It's on I-39 over I-55, a half or 0.4 miles west of US 51 business, over I-55, 0.3 miles west of Old 51, over Northtown Road, Township Road 201B, half mile north to I-55 and over Northtown Road, a third mile west of Old 51, north of Normal. And it's a bridge overlay project. And this project was moved to FY27 from FY29, and the cost was updated to $5 million. So
Can somebody tell me what Old 51 is?
I believe Old 51 is the road that goes from Hayworth to Bloomington, north to south.
Yeah, so the 4-lane is new 51 and old 51 is the old 2-lane road. It doesn't go all the way to Bloomington. I think it goes up to like 800 north and then it cuts back over to.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you.
Okay. Questions, comments, anyone? All right, moving on to Amendment 29 as on the agenda item number 13, please.
Amendment 29 is tip number J043-3. Location is Illinois 9, US 150, Illinois 9 business from North Main Street to East Empire Street in Bloomington. The project is a design overlay with ADA improvements and curb and gutter improvements. This moved to FY27 from FY26, and the project cost was reduced by $1 million to $7 million.
Questions, comments, anybody? It's a major project.
Is that labeled correctly, that Illinois 9 business? That should be US 51 business, right?
I'll have to double check on that.
Because I don't think there's any Illinois 9 business. It'd be Illinois 9, US 150, and US 51 business, I believe.
Yeah, I think that's pretty funny also. I'll double check into that.
Okay. Great. Questions, comments? And yeah, when we can incorporate that, after you get a chance to check, then we can incorporate, changes if any needed, for the policy agenda.
Yes, no problem.
Yeah, thank you. To the last on the agenda in terms of amendments, amendment number 30.
Amendment 30 is tip number H682 on I-74 under US 150 northwest of Normal. It's a bridge deck overlay project, and the cost has been updated to $4 million total.
Okay. Questions, comments? All right, hearing none. So for all the above amendments, we'll refer to the policy committee as such, and then after we hear back from Derek, then we'll share the emails with all the committee members, and then and let the policy committee to take all this up next Friday. Okay, moving on to agenda item number 15 is for District 5 administrative modifications. And part of the background, I'll let Jen and Derek to add to this. It's all because all these different amendments is happening. We are only in middle of February, and we are down all the way to amendments 30. So we just wondering if there's a way that if there's something as like a minor in nature, that there will be some other administrative ways to cover all this. So Jen and Derek, refer to you both. You want to add to this? And I think you all had some kind of discussion.
Yes, Derek and I spoke before we finished putting the agenda together. And if you look on the spreadsheet that we sent out, and if you have it in color, which will make it a whole lot easier, everything that's shaded in green is simply a year change, moving from different years of the program. And in talking with Derek, I was kind of hoping we could treat those as administrative modifications, simply because there's no material change to the project content or cost, simply time. And just trying to make this a little more streamlined, and we'll obviously post the modifications once it goes through the policy committee. I'm just looking for ways to make this a little less hairy as we go through the process, as Ray said. Derek, yes or no, maybe.
Yes, that's fine.
Yeah, now is there a way to, So how can you just for the record and also for everybody? So how do we make sure like all the local partners, the localities, they are aware of those, like when a fiscal year got changed and projects, the timing got moved up. So how would the committees get informed? And then also, I suppose this will also have to be reflected in the tip or something. So can somebody?
I mean,
Yeah, so somebody has to do the work, but how do we make sure it's not just someone doing it in his or her office, but then all the committee members are aware of it? So how do we, like a quarterly report, monthly report through emails? Can somebody explain that?
we post the administrative modifications in with the tip on the website. There's a list.
Yeah, I understood. But again, it's not like we're a lot of committee members. It's not like they check it every day or have time to. But how do we want proactive way to keep all the committee members informed?
Well, that's what we're doing here.
So do we send this every week, every month?
It doesn't happen that often.
But that's my question.
I mean,
How do we? I mean, I'll defer to our other committee members too, because I want you to be informed and just so you'll be aware. That's all. Yeah.
I think if, amendments such as we discussed today could just be mentioned in passing or handed out at the Trans-Tech meetings, policy meetings.
Okay. Yeah, it can be updated like every month's meeting. You then can have an update. Okay, this whatever it's got a change or whatever.
Well, actually, of the green, I'm kind of curious, Derek or Dan, moving from FY26 to FY25 for Morrissey. That FY24 is like now. So are you planning to bid that like in a June letting?
Are you talking about the Morrissey?
Yeah,
Veterans, that one?
1089. I saw that you added money to the phase 2 engineering, and I get that, but I'm like, it says in the green, it says move from FY26 to FY24.
no, it's the other way around.
The other way around.
Move. Okay, I'm sorry. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's call it-
My bad. I read it wrong.
It's really, really hard to see.
Yeah.
Make it kind of bigger.
Thank you. My apologies.
Okay. So yeah, if we can like provide update on these amendments, like as information, like at least each of the technical committee meeting, I think it is on record, so that people don't have to look for that on our website. Not that it will not be on the website, but I think we can be more like proactive and then to share the information, updated information with the committee members, and also on record too.
So this is, Betsy, just a point of clarification. It would be on your website, right, in the tip document, or it would be a separate letter saying this is our action we took this time? What would that look like?
It looks like a list, Betsy. We have a list of the administrative modifications that follows the tip amendments. Obviously, as we're looking into, this is the year we're going to take a crack at an e-tip, and we're looking at ways to make sure.
Yeah.
Tell me about it. We're looking at ways to make sure that any later action on a given project, an amendment, an administrative modification associates with the original project in the electronic version. I know Chicago has a way of doing this, and we're kind of hoping we can piggyback in a much more limited way on what Chicago is doing. But that's the idea. Currently, it's a list. It's not the most elegant solution, but since we're working mostly in PDF documents that get posted, it's kind of the best we can do at the moment. And we're looking at ways to make it a little more seamless so that it's not kind of a struggle to go find all of the changes to a given project.
Okay, because of what a lot of MPOs do, they'll put they'll have the tip document, and then if it's a static document, then they'll have the amendments following. You just, that date would be on there, and you could find it that way. But the list looked good. As you presented it, there was a lot of business today. which, isn't always the case.
Right.
In reference to an E-tip, I have no idea how long that might take to implement. Another more sized MPO you might want to take a look at is Champaign. They do theirs in-house. And it's pretty workable.
Yeah, we've looked at Champagnes at length, and as I said, we're trying to find a way to implement this in a kind of baby steps way for this year, so that we have started this process. And then, as we understand it, the system that CMAP is using is undergoing a platform change this summer, and that will fit nicely with what we already do. So we're kind of hoping we can take a piece of that, at least as a starting point, and use that as our framework going forward. Sorry.
That's a good goal.
I know.
Yeah, but our goal really is to convert to a E-tip. We actually have done some research and looking at different other MPOs and see how we can have a version that will work, that would work for us. That's kind of where we are at on that. But yeah, definitely make it easier, because the amendments and stuff and can be done really soon rather than waiting on paper copies and other things. But yeah, definitely that's what we would like to work on. But I have a question, kind of general, and anybody can answer. So should this apply to all the amendments, or that certain dollar amount, or just all the year, when the fiscal year change, or just across the board for any amendments? I just want to make sure there's no other criteria conditions. Is it across the board, or what's anybody?
Well, an amendment by definition meets certain criteria in terms of its representing a material change. And as I said, the point of the decisions we're making about an E-tip process is to make sure that it's very simple to associate any subsequent action with regard to a specific project with that original project. One of the complications on that, I'll just mention here, District 5, is that the tendency to reuse project numbers, which I understand, but sometimes they have, sort of additional tags that go to a fiscal year, but it can make it really hard to make clear the relationship between an amendment and the original project when there's more than one project that uses the same ID number or project number. So that's a little complication we've been running into for years now, trying to say which, A161 is this as we go through the year. Just a little note, but that's the overall goal, is to make sure that it's possible for someone looking at Project X from whatever jurisdiction to be able to then immediately see the subsequent actions with respect to that project in the form of either amendments or administrative modifications. Yes, no, Betsy?
Well, I don't know if I caught all that, but generally, I went back to look at the TIP amendments for today, and oftentimes what we'll see in an MPO is, each jurisdiction has their own project convention. Not that that's the best or anything, but an IDOT project might be defined as an S or something. So it's all it can be different, and obviously we'd like to certainly see you pick a number or whatever it is on a project and kind of keep with it, from kind of beginning to end, because that's going to make it easier to track. And then oftentimes where it affects our office is that, when our transportation engineer goes to, authorize these projects, we need to make sure it's in the TIP and that it's fiscally constrained and that sort of thing. And then as far as your thresholds, it kind of goes back to what I think Ray was getting at, is the thresholds are determined by the MPO. We've seen it anywhere from any change to 10% to 30% to 50% or more. So it's kind of a sliding scale, but if you do make that modification or take a look at that, you could modify that if it suits your needs. But that would have to go through your public, your PPP or your public participation plan. and that takes a little bit more time to approve. But that's certainly an issue maybe for another day, but something you might want to just take a look at to see, is it serving your needs or not? But and IDOT, every MPO they work with does this a little bit differently. There's no one answer. It's kind of how whatever works for you guys in the district.
All right.
Yeah, Betsy, if you look at that, I don't think you have access maybe to the spreadsheet, but although you were on the mailing list, but we do have a designation for each of the jurisdictions. It's just one column with S for the state, N, B, the county, so on. And as you say, I think a lot of this is a discussion for a more leisurely day.
Yeah.
Any other comments, anybody?
Yeah, this is Bob Ennis. I can just give you a little brief update on the E-tip that was mentioned. I know IDOT is looking into this with some of our planning monies. In theory, it could be relatively quickly to be implemented, but it would have to be an agreement with all the MPOs in the state, and that there's some concerns about that. Some of the smaller MPOs don't really see are looking at the benefits of it. And then we also have the bi-state MPOs that go into other states, which makes another issue as well. So we've asked, we could piggyback onto the CMAP system relatively easy, and we're trying to get some cost numbers on that, but it'll probably be a while, and we still need that agreement from the rest of the MPOs before anything would move forward.
That sounds great to me.
Yeah, Bob, the discussion of the CMAP system at the MPO meeting in January, it was really compelling for the functionality that frankly had never even occurred to me was possible. Not to mention the fact that it's going to be, I gather this summer, it's going to flip to an Esri base. So, we use Esri for a lot of stuff. It would be really advantageous to be able to simply add that on. It's something we all know how to work with. It, at least, let's just say I was home getting over COVID when that meeting took place and was monitoring it from home. And I was thinking, wow, I'm awake because this is really interesting. So that was a major step for me at that time. And I was, like I said, I found it really compelling, and the sheer level of capability it has for CMAP, even a fraction of that would be a huge help for us.
Yeah, and we've had several discussions with CMAP, about their system and some other systems, and it would relatively be easy to add. It would just be like adding another, city or jurisdiction onto their system, so it could be done fairly quickly. But again, we would need that agreement with some of the other MPOs that are not quite on board yet. And we're also trying to figure out, what that would cost. So it's going to be a continuing discussion item. And, we'd like to, there's also some issues about IDOT adopting it for our own, STIP and other uses like that. So there's ongoing discussion, but hopefully we can move forward.
Terrific. Thank you.
Sounds good to me. Anything else regarding this agenda item number 15 about the administrative modifications? All right. Number 16 on the agenda, that which may arise. Anybody got anything? All right. Hearing none. The next scheduled meeting, although on the agenda we said March 22nd, but actually we think we may be able to stay on March the 15th. So there will be no change, but we because there's a lot of things happening toward the end of May, different projects, and we're trying to make sure the schedule still works. So the best way is to keep the technical committee the way it has been scheduled. So if you just keep the 15th as the typical, the third Friday, that would be great. And on that note, I know Jen also inviting entries for the tip and other things that,
Yes, the infamous annual memo saying, here's what we need to do for tip 25. It's almost ready to wing its way to you, and I'll give you plenty of warning.
it's like a race this year. See who got here first, who get the James
It's
first.
a race every year, and the only consistent winner over all this time I've been doing this was, oh gosh, my mind has gone to soup. Doesn't matter. Anyway, there was a consistent winner. It's none of the three of you, but you can look on.
You can beat that person, whoever that is. All right. Okay. So yeah, just mark March 15th, if you would. And then any other things before we entertain? Well, we can even entertain motion, so we have to keep staying here. The meeting won't be adjourned because we don't have a quorum. But have a great day, rest of the day, if you want to have a safe weekend. And if you do get one day off because of President's Day, do enjoy your long weekend. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you all online. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
And of course, those of you who struggled through the executive now.